Good morning. Sorry, need to get that bit down. How the devil are you all doing today? Me? Well, you find me today bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I don't know if it's the fact that our 500th show is now just 3 days away, or the fact that my trip to Italy is less than 2 weeks away. But either way, I am a man reinvigorated, which is just as well because we've got another packed show for you today. A show with a serious beginning, semi-serious ending, and a lot of cool stuff in between. You also have another chance to win one of our PlantWorks goodie boxes. In fact, this could well be our last PlantWorks goodie box because we're rapidly running out of stuff to put in the goodie boxes. So if you'd like to be in with a chance of winning that, please type PlantWorks into the chat, PLANTWORX, for your chance to win. We will be doing the draw at the end of the show. I'll leave that up for just a moment. But without further ado, let me roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this show on the road. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I'm your host, Mark Anthony. Yes, it is Tuesday, the 18th of April, and welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, from a £5,000 fine to £1 million in damages, has justice finally been done for the family of a man killed during the demolition at Longannet Power Station? Unicontrol takes tech to the masses. Caterpillar unveils its latest material handler, and John Deere showcases its newest excavators. Plus, this is how you engage with young people. That's for the end of the show. We're going to get to all of that in just a second. But first, let's see who among the rich and the shameless will be celebrating a birthday on this day of days. That's the wrong button. Happy birthday! And it's many happy returns to Eric Spear. Who is Eric Spear, I hear you ask? He is the man responsible, the composer actually, responsible for the Coronation Street theme, to actress Hayley Mills and to actor James Woods, star of one of my favourite movies, Once Upon a Time in America. Yes, happy birthday also to Les Pattinson from Echo and the Bunnymen, Frasier actress Jane Leaves, should I say, Wham backing singer Shirley Holliman, chat show host Conan O'Brien, and to actor David Tennant, to director Edgar Wright, he of Shaun of the Dead, former West Ham defender Matthew Upson, and to West Ham's current Polish goalkeeper, Lukas Fabianski. Many happy returns to them, one and all. Now, before we get started, here's a very quick reminder of our actually serious for once question of the day. Yes, what price the cost of a working man's life? Well, that will make a whole lot more sense in just a moment when we get to our first news item. I'm going to read this first item as it was reported by the BBC yesterday afternoon, and we can get into it after this. The family of a grandfather who died after falling almost 30 feet from a platform at Longannet Power Station has received £1 million in damages. Gary Robertson died from serious injuries in 2019 when working at the decommissioned power station. Demolition firm Brown & Mason were previously fined £5,000 after bosses admitted health and safety failings. That fine would have been £100,000, but it was reduced after the company bosses claimed they had no assets to pay more. The £1 million award follows the settlement of a subsequent civil action. You can read that full story over on demolitionnews.com, where it is currently the lead story, I think. Now, I don't know about you, but I've got several questions here. A company working on a multi-million pound power station demolition didn't have sufficient assets to pay a £100,000 fine. How were they paying their men, putting fuel in their machine, getting to and from work, insuring those machines? A Scottish court sheriff apparently considered £5,000 to be the cost of a working man's life, or the value of a working man's life. And a grieving widow was forced to endure a civil action to secure some kind of belated justice. Please let me have your thoughts in the chat. Going to hop over into the chat very, very quickly. Steve Williamson, good morning, Steve, says only one answer. Nothing. Not £1 million, not £10 million. It's only money. Life is far more important. 100% agree. Question of the day: there is no price on the head of anyone on site. Everyone's life is precious. Quite right too. Peter McKenna says no money won't replace life, but the family should have been offered more than £1 million. Shocking that they had to pursue a civil claim for damages. I think we are all in agreement on all of that, to be perfectly honest. Now, let me get rid of that, and then you'll be able to see we've got another of our Plantworks goodie boxes up for grabs today. PLANTWORX into the chat, Plantworks in the chat, and you will be entered into the prize draw, which we will be doing at the end of the show. Now, a few months ago, you may recall that we brought you the news that machine guidance company Unicontrol had appointed SMT-GB as its representative here in the UK market. Well, we caught up with the team at Unicontrol while we were in Las Vegas last month. This is what they had to say.
Unicontrol was established on an idea that we wanted to make machine control for the operators. When you look at existing systems, I mean, they've been in the market for a long time, and kudos for that. I mean, they've done a really good job. But that also, when you expand that much and you don't think about the architecture and you add all different things into it, over time it becomes very complex. When I talk about, I want machine controls to be as simple as a hammer, right? At the end of the day, it's a tool. So that is where the simplicity comes in. If you make it simple enough, then you can have more operators learning the system, and it'll be easy to get them to work together with different machines. And the long term, autonomous is going to come. I mean, you've seen that in a lot of different industries, right? But I think, or I believe, and what I see is that the construction sector is different. For things to run autonomous, then everything should be autonomous. There should be no human involved. So aside, I mean, your truck should be autonomous, your dirt mover should be autonomous, your vibrator should be autonomous, and all those aspects as well. So that I see that quite far away. And I think semi-automatic is quite near, and this is something you can work with, and I've been in the dozers for a long time, but next step to our excavators, it helps your operator to be more efficient, and it helps your company to be more efficient. So the operator will always be there. I don't think they will be obsolete. People are really realizing what actually you can use this for, and they're realizing what benefits it makes for them.
Yeah, I've said it before and I will say it again. The next battleground for the adoption of tech is going to be in the mid and compact sized equipment range, and it will be vital that the price point and complexity of those systems matches the application. Watch this space. Unicontrol are going to be at the very forefront of that battle. I'm going to hop over into the chat very quickly. Steve Williamson, morning, Steve. Missed the live yesterday. Busy, but I did watch it later when I was home. Another great show. Thank you very much indeed, Steve. We do our best. Paul Latham, morning, Paul. Let's have a look. The director fines need to be high, and removal of limited status is required. There should be no hiding behind a limited status. There is no price on life. We, the public, need to put pressure upon the government and courts to increase the case law figures that they work from to increase the £5,000. Again, I mean, it should have been £100,000, but £100,000 for the life of a working man? It's still not enough, in my opinion. Let's have a look. Dan Cullen says, what autonomous vibrators? Okay. They have been using remote control machines for a few years now. It makes sense in areas where operator safety is paramount. Absolutely. What I try and tell everyone, idiot that slags off GPS. Well said. Yeah, listen, it's, what is the, there's two versions of what I'm about to say. I'll do the clean one. It's like my dad used to say, this is like farting against thunder. Tech is coming. Like it or loathe it, tech is coming. You have no choice in the matter. You will be overtaken. If you choose to stand on the sidelines and become a Luddite, you will be overtaken and you will be left behind. Peter McKenna says they already have them. Women only. Women on OnlyFans are making a fortune. I don't even know what that means. Okay, so let's get back to the show with one of these. There's a very quick reminder down there. Plantworks into the chat, PLANTWORX, if you haven't done so already. How many entries do we have so far? I think we're about 7. Yeah, it is 7. If anybody would like to win themselves a Plantworks goodie box, now is the time to put that in the chat. Now, the mighty Caterpillar has added a new materials handler to its already massive equipment range. Want to see it? Yeah? Thought you would. Big old beast, isn't it? Let me throw this back up on the screen just while we're having a chat amongst ourselves, because we've had a couple of comments over in the chat, but 2 more films to come. So you're running out of time to type Plantworks into the chat to enter the competition to win a Plantworks goodie box. When I can find the comments, here we go. Favorite quote of the day comes from Gary Muirhead. Tech is there to help make life easier for everyone. Like they say, work smarter, not harder. 100%. Steve Williamson says, everyone was saying the Hudig joysticks are not as good. The Hudig guide said, try write with a pen, grabbing it like you would a joystick, and then try it again how you normally would write. Precision made sense. Absolutely. Precision is what it's all about. Let's have a look. Ken Hatcher says, Steve Williamson, I drive with my fingers. Maybe that's why I find JCB heavy and a high Hyundai light. Interesting to put. I didn't even realize there were multiple ways of operating a machine, which shows how little I know. What have we got there? Stephen Guthrie. Morning, lads. Bit late. Hardly any signal on the boat. You're on a boat? Why? Why are you on a boat? Stephen, let me know. I will address this one. When do you think you will start Saturday socials again? Okay, so soon. Probably the week after next. as part of the 500th show, there's going to be a bit of a reshuffle of this office. There's something going on over there, which you can't see, obviously, which will change the layout because I want our Saturday socials to look different. I want our Breakfast show to look like this, and I want our vlogs to look different again. So there's going to be a bit of a reshuffle. And until that reshuffle happens, I'd rather not do the whole Saturday social thing, but they will be coming back, and I will try to squeeze one in before I head off to Italy. And there's an answer. Our Ferox fishing for the week. Relaxing. Out Ferox. Ferox fishing? What is Ferox fishing? I like fishing, but I don't know what Ferox is. Somebody enlighten me. Any word on Neil Edwards? He is back at work. I heard from him yesterday. Still not entirely sure when I'm going to be able to grab him onto the show, but I'm working on it. Trust me, we are working on it. We are in communication, as they say. Now, I'm going to remind you, probably, well, not quite the last time, but almost the last time, please type Plantworks into the chat because I do need to get rid of this box. It's under my desk. I'm tired of whacking my shins on it. Now, while you're all considering doing that, let me roll one of these.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Well, it turns out that this show is, I'd like to think it's an education for most. Today has been an education for me because apparently there are numerous ways of operating a machine. And one of those ways is, as Dan Cullen says, I'm a tip of the finger operator. For feeling hydraulics and easier, my dad showed me it, and it couldn't hold like a lot of operators do. Looks so awkward. Very interesting. I just naturally assumed we were like that. Apparently, there's a bit of that going on. Guys, well, you are an enlightenment to me. Now, if you were here yesterday, you will recall that we brought you the very latest wheel loader tech from those fine folks at John Deere. Well, today it is the turn of their excavators.
Hi, my name is Aaron Clower. I'm the Global Product Manager for mid and large size excavators. I'm here to introduce for the first time our first future generation excavator model, the 145P Reduced Tail Swing. Because we have complete design control of this future generation, that allows us for the first time to be all in and all Deere. The value proposition with these new products starts with dependability and durability, a #1 need for every customer regardless of their production system. We have best in class today on our current generation, and we're aiming to go farther with enhancements like increased size on our undercarriage components, stronger boom and arms, and updated pin and bushing joints. Secondly, we're aiming to have unrivaled performance. The goal is to be best in the industry when compared side by side. Third, we're looking to have an elevated operator experience. We're happy to introduce a brand new, modern, full-sized cab with a exclusive all-in-one display and command arm that'll make our cabs the most intuitive, user-friendly cabs in the industry. Fourth, we're looking to differentiate with technology, utilizing technology from across the Deere enterprise and integrating it into our excavator design to drive value to our customers. Focusing on things like grade management technology, obstacle intelligence, and connectivity are examples of how we can do this. Lastly, but certainly not least, we're looking to make these more customizable and upgradable than they ever have before. A good example of this is the integration of the tilt rotator into our factory. We're looking forward to sharing more information on our future generation excavators with you very soon.
Don't know about you, but I think that looks a proper piece of kit, and factory fit Encon as well. Interesting times. Now, I'm about to play our final film of the day, which is only 1 minute long. So you currently have, let me just check, you have a 1 in 9 chance of winning our Plantworks competition. This is the last of the goodie boxes to go out the door. After that, it's bits and pieces. So type Plantworks into the chat for your chance to win. You have roughly 1.5 minutes to do so. I think we've just gone to a 1 in 10 chance. Yes, we have. Stephen Guthrie's just come in under the wire. Well done, Stephen. Now, bit of a bugbear for me, this one. So you know how young people are not allowed near construction equipment? How we've largely outlawed the notion of a young boy or young girl going to work with their father on a Saturday morning to learn the ropes? How we have to set aside a specific time for children to attend industry exhibitions to satisfy the health and safety police? You know all of that? Yeah, well, they do it differently in America.
What is skills? Here for us in Shippensburg at the Volvo Customer Care Center, this is the heavy equipment operation competition to find out who the top 3 high school equipment operators are in the state of Pennsylvania.
Skills is an excellent opportunity to give the students, which is our future, the skills and knowledge that they need, and let them actually showcase their talents, which is something that is often overlooked. These young students are our future, and we have to take the time and invest and train them. And skills provides an opportunity to showcase that training, but also to expand on it. And it gives them the opportunity to develop leadership skills as well as interpersonal skills.
I never really did like high school much, and I wanted to be more hands-on. And I didn't think college was for me, so I wanted to get into dirt work, and I grew up around it, and I've always enjoyed big, heavy machinery.
As a kid growing up, loved playing with machines and playing in the dirt and stuff, so this is kind of what I always wanted to do growing up.
Super exciting, lots of people, a lot of fun equipment to run. Figured why not come to Techno School and learn it.
This year's competition consists of 14 stations, which coincides with 14 competitors. They're competing in a variety of hands-on skills related to equipment operation, surveying, and it's also got some educational stations that we use for the students to gain some knowledge and things that we might not have back at our sending schools.
We try to set it up so that it's a learning experience for them with everything that is encountered daily on a heavy equipment operation site.
Haven't really been in a setting like this. There's a lot of big equipment, big machines, and operating all this stuff it's a blast. It's really fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here today, just be able to participate in all different activities that they have, be able to try all sorts of new equipment that Volvo's letting us use, and learn all sorts of different new skills that we get to take with us.
The special part about this is that there is such a shift for young people to better themselves, to come out into the world and be a part of society. As we all know, the people who have a trade, they have the wealth in their hands that they can work with. I know for a fact that they will have something that they'll always look back on in April of 2023 and remember today, because this is something that just doesn't happen every day in your lifetime.
Definitely being in the big excavator, haven't been anything that big, not nearly the size of that. So operating that was really fun.
It's really awesome, and it's an awesome opportunity to have.
Thanks, Volvo. That was great.
Yes, you heard him right. They were looking for the best high school equipment operator. And we wonder why we can't attract young people to the industry on this side of the pond. America, Volvo, I tip my hat to you. Now, where are we? We have 11 entries for our PlantWorks competition. You can see how to enter down below there. PLANTWORX into the chat. I need to throw it up on the screen. So let me get rid of a thing that you can't see. This is giving you more time to enter, obviously. So you should be grateful for this slight interruption in proceedings. There are currently 11 entries by the looks of it. So let me get this off the screen and let me roll the randomizer. Steve Williamson, our superstar in the making, is our winner. And oddly enough, Steve has actually left the show. I did see this going through somewhere. He says, got to go, lad is having bother trying to get the dumper going. So I will drop him a line, get his address, but I will drop him a line. Steve Williamson has won our Plant Works competition, a deserved winner for having entertained the folks over in Las Vegas just a few weeks ago. So congratulations on that one, Steve. So I think it's probably time that I played this.
Sorry to interrupt the guy with the funny glasses, but if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button as it helps our channel. Or better still, share this video with a friend or a colleague. Thank you. Right, back to Beardy.
Right, that pretty much wraps up the main part of this morning's show. I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into the chat to see what you're all saying today. If you can't stick around for that, then please stay safe. Look after yourself, your family, your friends and your colleagues. But if you do have the time and the inclination, I'll see you on the other side of this for the crack. With impeccable timing, Steve Williamson is back. I'm back. Got it going. Bloody young ones. Lol, he says. Nice one. Thanks very much. You are more than welcome. Now, I'm going to put some music on because it's that time and we have a chat, don't we? Where do I find the music? Let's go with this one today. Yeah. Feeling a little funky today. Why the hell not? Well done, Steve. That means my windows are safe from eggs. If you were here recently, Steve threatened to egg bomb Gary Muirhead's house because he keeps winning all the competitions. Now, I'm going to go back to the very beginning of the chat. I think first off the mark this morning, up with the lark was our friend Ken Hatcher. Morning, Ken. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Dan Cullen is in the house as well. Dan has had one hell of an interesting morning. Came to the rescue of a man having a seizure on the road outside his site. Well done, Dan. Not sure how it turned out. I saw that on our WhatsApp group, and if anybody is interested in joining our WhatsApp group, I can probably make that happen. Let me think. It's that button there. Yes, if you'd like to join our WhatsApp group, please feel free. You can find a link in the chat. Rattling through that chat, there is our friend, the Steel Wrist branded Gary Muirhead. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, everybody. Good morning to you as well, Gary. Steve Williamson is here as well, our eventual winner of the Plant Works competition. None have ever been quite so deserving. There's Dan Cullen entering the competition. There was my question of the day. What price a human life? I'll come back to that in a second, but let me just go through the chat. Kerry Jones is here as well. Kerry Jones entered the competition. It's about time you won something, Kerry, I have to say. So please keep trying. There's more to come. Probably not goodie boxes because I think I've run out of enough to put in goodie boxes. But there will be hats and things like that. So please stay tuned and try and take part. There's our friend, Mr. Sick Note McKenna. Good morning, Peter. Thank you very, very much indeed for joining us. Why are damage claims in the USA worth more than they are here in the UK? I think the actual answer is America is a more litigious society. They seem to like nothing more than suing the pants off each other. But I think they are more reflective of the true cost. The story that we were referring to, which I can't actually put back, but no, I probably can put it back up on screen as it happens. Bear with me 2 seconds and I'll put it back on the screen if I can find it. There you are. That's the story itself. That is the guy that was killed at Longannet Power Station, fell 30 feet and sustained injuries that ultimately led to his death. For those of you that have joined late, the initial fine was just £5,000. It should have been £100,000. Brown and Mason claimed they didn't have sufficient assets to settle a £100,000 fine, but it's now gone through a civil action, and that civil action has awarded the family £1 million. One of the things that stands out from the coverage, at least it does for me, maybe it's because I am one of these people, is the fact that the guy in question is actually, I'm going to get to the right part, Gary Robertson is actually a grandfather. So that there that you're looking at there, that's Karen Robertson. That is his wife. On the basis he has grandchildren, he obviously has children, and he has grandchildren. And the loss of the life of effectively the male head of that family, one would imagine, was initially valued at £5,000. And it actually says in the article on the BBC, Mr. Robertson's widow Karen said something is clearly wrong with sentencing guidelines because a £5,000 fine is disgusting. Gary's funeral cost even more than that. Doesn't that say it all? I don't know where that £5,000 came from. I really don't. But certainly nowhere near enough. There is not enough. If it was a million, if it was 10 million, if it was 100 million, it's still not going to replace the fact that that grandfather, grandchildren have lost their grandfather, children have lost their father. A lady there has lost her husband as well, and probably there will be sisters and nieces and nephews and cousins and aunts, and Lord alone knows what else. £5,000, not enough. I think we're all in agreement on that. Cost of a life, priceless. No amount of money will replace that of a human being. Quite right too. Question of the day, only one answer, nothing. Not a million, not 10 million. It's only money. Life is far more important. And I mean, the very fact that the company involved actually admitted health and safety failings. Surely that should be enough, shouldn't it? No money will replace her life, but the family should have been offered more than £1 million. Shocking that they had to pursue a civil claim for damages. I 100% agree. Morning to Glenn Johnston. Glenn Johnston, sorry, I always miss that T out. Morning, Glenn, and thank you very much indeed for taking part in the competition. You missed out this time, I'm afraid, my friend. There is Steve Williamson saying, missed the live yesterday, busy, but I did watch it after when I was at home. Another great show. Thank you very much indeed. The director fines need to be higher. Removal of limited status is required. There should be no hiding behind a limited status. No price on a life. We, the public, need to put pressure upon the government and courts to increase the case law figures that they work from to increase the 5K. I personally believe that we are long overdue a judicial overhaul anyway. I wasn't going to talk about this because, well, you'll understand why I wasn't going to talk about this. So my wife has got a group of girlfriends that she went to school with. It's half a dozen of them. They meet up once every 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or whatever it is. They go out for dinner, drink lots of wine, and they've been doing that literally since they were like 14 or 15 years old. They're very, very close. It's always the same bunch of girls. They all get together. We had a phone call on early hours of Sunday morning to say that the son of one of those girls had been, we were initially told that he'd been stabbed. Quickly followed thereafter by it's not life-threatening, but he has been the victim of a knife attack. It turns out that the knife attack was actually a machete. Somebody hit him basically just behind the ear, so head and neck, with a machete. Walking home from a night out with his friends, he's 18 years old, been out with his mates, and somebody literally rode by on a bicycle and hit him across the back of the head with a machete. Assuming they find the person, which is frankly unlikely, what do they get? My guess is if they're around the same age as the victim, slap on the wrist. They're unlikely to do jail time. That's if they're caught at all. Just seen there is this public outcry at the moment about I think there are 4 cities in the UK that have been selected for extended stop and search rules to try and stem the rise of knife crime. And I don't know why it's only 4 cities. You'd have thought do it nationwide, but there are only 4 apparently. And here is very, very simplistic. Unless you're a carpet fitter or a butcher, There is no good reason for you to be out in public with a knife in your possession. None whatsoever. So if you are stopped and searched and you're carrying a knife, they should throw the book at you, because you are clearly a wrong-'un of the highest order. We now have human rights activists on TV saying that this infringes upon people's human rights. Now, I realise, I've watched the American experience with gun crime and everything else. I've seen all of that play itself out. And I know that there will be racial overtones to this, that the stop and search in the 4 cities selected will almost certainly target more black people than it will white people, and there will be outcry and a backlash against that. I fully understand that. But whether you're black, white or green, if you're carrying a knife in public, you deserve to be off the streets. Banged up. Simple. Not fines, not community service, not some sort of rehabilitation. You need to be off the streets because you are a danger to the public. And listen, as far as I'm concerned, there can be no arguing against that. And what I find disturbing about this is the way in which this has progressed unchecked. Now, I'm 58, so I was at a house party when I was about 16, so we're talking 42 odd years ago, and a fight broke out. Boys will be boys, fights break out, we all know the score, we've all been there and done it. The fight broke out, and one of the guys who was not doing particularly well in the fight picked up a bottle, smashed it on a kitchen counter, and ended up with a jagged piece of bottle in his hand. And the guy who was hosting the party, who was same age as us, so 15, 16 years old, walked in the front and just went, whoa, no, it's just a fight. And the guy put the bottle down and carried on fighting. It ultimately petered out, and we've gone from that to where we are now, where we have people literally attacked with a machete. And please bear in mind, I live in Surrey, stockbroker belt, leafy Surrey. I don't live in the Bronx. I don't live in the rough end of London. I come from the rough end of London, but I don't live there anymore. We are talking about a country park in leafy Surrey, and somebody has been whacked across the back of the head with a machete. And as a result of that, he's had to undergo surgery because it's split from basically behind his ear down to his chin. He's now going to have a scar. So he looks like the bad guy. He's going to be carrying a scar, although he's had plastic surgery now. There's no nerve damage, thankfully, but they have had to readjust his ear because of the splitting of the skin. His ear moved out of line, and they've had to move that back. And his crime was walking home in the early hours of the morning. And the way that this happened, just to finish things off, he'd been out for a night with his mate, and the two of them had got to a park. One of them lived one side of the park, one of them lived the other, and they just did that. And the first thing his friend knew was that he had a phone call to say that he'd been attacked and was on his way to hospital coughing up blood, having been hit across the back of the head with a machete in Surrey. So yeah, have fairly strong feelings on that. No, we don't need that one. There's Steve Williamson. What I try and tell everyone, idiots that slag off GPS. Well said, yeah. I always come back to this. You get some operators of a certain vintage who will claim, you're not a proper operator if you're using GPS. You're not a proper operator if you're using a tilt rotator or whatever it might be. Okay, fine. You're entitled to your opinion, but how about we take out the sat-nav from your car and take away your ABS braking and take away your power steering and take away your electric windows? Same thing apply. You're clearly more manly if you're driving a manual car with manual windows with no sat nav, so you've got a map on your lap and you have to find your own way. I've never heard such a load of tosh in all my life. There's Jim Turner. Morning, Jim. Thank you very much indeed for being here. As everyone is saying, Peter McKenna says, morning, Jim. And Dan Callan says, when I can make it work, he says, top of the morning. Tech is there to help and make life easier for everyone. Like they say, work smarter, not harder. I carry one of these. Okay, I use it for a lot of stuff. Back in the day when I was working at Contract Journal and subsequently at Plant Manager's Journal, I used to go out for the day on a regular basis, go and visit sites, visit manufacturers and stuff. If somebody couldn't make the meeting, I could drive literally the length of the country to get there and find out that I couldn't make the meeting because I had no way of being in contact. Now I have. That's technology, and I embrace it. It saves me time. It makes my life better. There's Ken Hatcher saying that's a big unit. That was a Caterpillar material handler, and it is a big old beast. Let's have a look. Wow, I'd sit in that material handler all day. Looks a tiny piece of kit. Well done again, Caterpillar. Kind of goes without saying, really, doesn't it? Caterpillar have got a new machine, an old shocker. It's good. Hardly front page news, that is it? Morning, lads. A bit late for me. Hardly any signal on the boat. And Steve has actually sent me a couple of photographs of the boat. And very nice it looks too. I still don't know what ferox fishing is, but I'm going to look it up as soon as the show is over. I think I've answered that, but I promise, Dan, Saturday Socials will return. It will return, as will Neil Edwards, I promise. You get the paintbrush out. I painted my bedroom and JCB yellow. No plans to paint in here. It's a bit of a challenge actually with lighting when you're doing these kind of things. I did prove this the other day. That's how the show looks without the lighting. It looks a whole lot better with, and if you put dark walls and stuff like that, it starts to look a bit sketchy. So no, we're basically the idea is vlogs will take place outdoors. That's outdoors. I know you can't see it, but that's outdoors. Saturday Socials and things like that will take place over on the side desk, so there will be another camera view going the other way, and these shows will carry on being this way. The more I watch of YouTube and these people that have got fancy studio setups, including my mate Matt Milway down in Bristol, the more I wish I had a bigger space. It would be lovely to be able to film in 4 different directions for the various things that we do. Like, ultimately, we may move to the Construction Equipment News Show, may go that way as well, and film this way, but we're working on that. Let's have a look. Tip of the finger operator. Yeah, we learned today that not everybody operates the machines the same. I have to say, that's news to me, but that's not really what I do for a living. I guess it's the same as us typists. I'm very much a tip of the finger typist. I'm sure some people don't do it like that. Never ask the question. There is Gary Muirhead, Smart Digger, and I've heard John Deere is coming to this country very soon. Can't wait. They wouldn't be drawn on it while I was in Vegas. But you'd have to think, why would you not? Why would you not? Particularly when you think some of the machines they're developing now are pure John Deere rather than badged. Why would you not? So I'm going to watch this space. Volvo, a future-thinking company. Yeah, I have to say, and listen, I mentioned the fact that PlantWorks, as an example, sets aside some time for young people to attend. It's ridiculous that they should have to do that, but fair play to them for doing it. Because back when I was working at the old SED was owned by Contract Journal and Plant Manager's Journal, which is where I was a journalist. The old SED, no children were allowed at all. And we wonder why we can't attract young people into the industry. And then you see what they're doing in America. Not just we accept the fact that children are able to operate, but encouraging them to do so. And one of the guys that stood out, I didn't catch his name, but one of the guys that really stood out there, he's clearly operating machines maybe with his father or his grandfather or his uncle or whatever it might be. Volvo has thrown open the doors and allowed him to drive a bigger excavator. You show me a 15, 16, 17-year-old that would get behind the controls of a big 20, 30, 40-ton Volvo excavator and didn't get off thinking, well, that's the greatest thing since sliced bread. That's how you encourage the next generation. We are talking boats. Nothing ever surprises me in the chat, and we're talking boats. Mick Silver says, I just finally had mine brought over from Malta. Needs a good clean up now. I got my deep water ticket. I can finally take her out myself. Fantastic stuff. I wish you every success with that. I have to say, as a course fisherman, I consider anybody that owns a boat to be my mortal enemy. But I don't judge. Jim Turner, that's exactly the way it should be. Lots of bright kids aren't interested in writing stuff down in schools. Yeah, what? And listen, even in my day, yes, we all wanted to be professional footballers or motor racing drivers or astronauts or whatever it was. There are very few people that ever get to set foot on the moon. There are very few people that ever get to play football at a professional level. We need plumbers all the time. We need electricians all the time. We need plasterers and carpenters and mechanics. And yes, we need demolition workers. We need construction workers all the bloody time. We need bricklayers all the time. And where are the schools focused? I do wonder what form a careers evening takes these days. I've recounted this story before. I told my careers advisor that I wanted to be an accountant, and she just effectively laughed in my face and said, nope, you will end up in advertising or journalism. She was right, I was wrong, look where I ended up. That's what it needs, and it does need somebody to take a good long hard look at those kids, maybe that aren't particularly interested in writing stuff, maybe some that are, and say, have you considered this, a vocational skill? You will earn a fortune, you'll be employed for life, pretty much. You will have transferable skills, so should you decide, actually, the UK has got very, very stabby recently, I'm going to go and live somewhere where people don't wield machetes in the early hours of the morning. You could do that, and you could take those skills with you, and you could walk into a job tomorrow afternoon. Are we doing that? Kerry Jones says, good for Volvo. I suppose I am in a good position myself that I'm able to introduce and encourage youngsters onto the controls. When you, and I do look, I've spoken to lots of people that have started companies. And one that springs to mind, Erith, one of the biggest demolition companies in the country, if not the biggest. The guy the managing director of that, David Darcy, his dad ran it, and he had to sweep the yard, and he had to fix the machines, and he had to fetch the tea and the coffee and everything else. I've interviewed Mike Keogh at C&D Consultants the other day. He is working on projects as far afield as Qatar and Oman and places like that. How did he start? As he described it, as in his Scouse accent, he started as a can lad. His job was to make the tea on the site that his father ran, and yet now that would be frowned upon. A child on a construction site never should be allowed. Nonsense. There we are. Fantastic idea for the UK. My son's just started the IPAF Level 3 apprentice scheme. It's spot on. More youngsters need to get involved along with our schools. I sit on the Worcester and Dudley school academies. I would love to engage with manufacturers that would like to engage. Dudley and Worcester. Not a million miles, I would suggest, from both Thwaites in one direction and JCB in another direction, both of whom have encouraged apprenticeships and stuff in the past. Reach out. And Paul, if you need any help in contacting those people, please let me know, and I will be more than happy to get you in touch. Well done, Steve. That means my windows are safe from eggs. Yes, we've covered that one. Steve, I will check. I'm fairly sure I have, but I will check. I do tend to get rid of them because of GDPR and what have you, but let's have a look. Kerry Jones, all I need is a new cap. Mine's burnt out. Kerry, do me a favour, my friend. Send me your address. I'll hook you up. No competition. I'll hook you up. I can't have one of our regular viewers walking around in a burnt out cap. Send me your address. I will sort you out. Good friend of mine's dad. That I was in that job 4 months left due to the ship. Oh, on that job, I'm thinking that is probably, we're talking about the job up in Longannet. Not sure, but I think that's the case. Dan Carter says the guy that he helped this morning is okay. He had low sugar count. Police and ambulance landed and said, "Was good job I put 8-ton machine in front of the car at a school environment too." Yeah, I am diabetic, but I'm a type 2 diabetic. I have to monitor blood sugar, but not to the degree of a type 1, who obviously can go into a bit of a shutdown. Let's have a look. Question today: no amount of money compensates for the loss of a life, but whatever amount is awarded doesn't make up for it. Totally agree, Nick. Totally agree. Since they banned guns, we have had a knife problem. It's nothing new. Did they ban guns? Have guns not always been banned? I thought they'd always been banned. I didn't realise we actually had a gun problem as such. I realise they pop up from time to time, but I didn't realise we actually had a gun ban. UK, you do a crime and get a slap on the wrist. When in Singapore with work, you get arrested for anything. Young get the whip, low crime rates there. You can see why. Getting the whip would be something you wouldn't want to get. UK is too soft and too political. How do you think the victim, particularly, not talking about the friend of our family, but you imagine the victim of a stabbing, maybe a child's been stabbed to death, a fatal stabbing, and somebody stands up and says that we're going to crack down on knife crime. Long overdue, but somebody stands up and says that. And I think all politicians are pretty much a waste of space. But a politician finally has the balls to stand up and say, we're going to crack down on knife crime. And then you have a mealy-mouthed human rights person going onto TV saying this will infringe upon the human rights of those that are being stopped and searched. Fine, infringe their human rights. Infringe away. Because that might mean one less person gets stabbed to death. But imagine being the parent of a child that's been stabbed like that and watching somebody, it will infringe their human rights. We shouldn't be stopping and searching. So how else are you going to stop it then? You're going to wait until somebody else dies and then hopefully find the person that did it? Tosh. I say that a lot, don't I? No, not going to play that one. They used to pull knives out when I was at school in the 80s. Funnily enough, the school that I went to, the high school that I went to, was notorious in the area because there had been a stabbing. And it was when I was told which school I was going to, I was immediately told by everybody around, "Oh, you're going to the school where people get stabbed." The stabbing had actually happened about 20 years previously. And it had literally been somebody had a penknife, had a fight, and had, I think, stuck it in somebody's arm. I'm not condoning that, it's still not the done thing. But, when we were told, somebody was stabbed and it was decades before and largely harmless. But yes, there were knives out in the 80s, no question about it. Why would folk moan about ramped up stop and search unless they have something to hide? Same with ID cards. Everyone should have to have one on them at all times. I totally agree. Jim, I'm almost certainly older than you, but I remember back in the 80s there was talk about everybody being issued with ID cards. You have them in the States, you have them across Europe, particularly in Eastern Europe, and why not? Unless you've got something to hide. And if you have got something to hide, you probably don't want to be carrying one of these bad boys because that bloody thing tracks you everywhere. So why would an ID card be that big a deal? Why would stop and search be a big deal? If somebody stopped me and searched me, they would find nothing. Okay, it's taken them a minute of my time to check me over. Fine, knock yourselves out. Check me daily if you like. I don't care. I've got nothing to hide. I've been a non-drinker for quite some time now, and I was pulled over by the police late one evening driving out of London, and they insisted on giving me a breathalyzer. And I knew full well, I'd been out for dinner, but I'd had a Diet Coke. That was all I'd had the entire evening. Blew into the bag, handed it back. The guy said, "No, you're blowing 0. Be on your way, sir." Fine. No. Cheers, officer. Not a big deal. No inconvenience. It made me get home about 3 minutes later than I would have done. I could afford 3 minutes. Preston has always had its rough areas. Then the council, in its infinite wisdom, decided to separate the thugs off 3 main estates and distribute them throughout Preston. Now we have idiots all over. Yeah. It's all down to freedom. I'm clean, haven't been in trouble with the police for many years. Thing is, the police take liberties as it is, especially where I live. Let them. Let them. I can't see any issue with that. As Jim Turner said, it's exactly the same as carrying an ID card. If you've got nothing to hide, stop and search me pop around my house if you like. Search the house as well. Nothing to hide. Since SatNav and Google Maps came in, a lot of people have no sense of direction. There was a survey done that people can't travel without SatNav or Google Maps. I'm sure that's the case. But again, is that a big deal? Bearing in mind, I mean, my father was a chauffeur who knew London, could have done the knowledge in his sleep. So very good at all that sort of stuff. Travelling further afield, he would have a map, a big bloody map on his lap, and he would find his way that way. By the time I got my company car, the first company car, you could actually download online maps. And I used to print off maybe 5 or 6, if I was going a long way, 5 or 6 sheets of A4 that said, at 2.4 miles, turn left, at 6.7 miles, turn right, keep on that road, and all the pages and pages of stuff that was on my lap in the car, and I had to look down to find out where I was going. Now I've got a little machine in my car that tells me where to go. Progress, right? Safer, sure. So yes, do what is my sense of direction any better or any worse? Don't believe so. But even if it is, I have a machine that does it for me. Why not? Sat-navs make more sense than reading a map when you're driving. There we are, Peter McKenna says. Much safer, apart from the idiots who take them for granted, end up on a cliff edge or a river. But listen, even before sat-navs, we've all heard the stories of people driving around the M25 in the wrong direction, people driving up motorways when they should be driving down and stuff like that. They've literally gone back on themselves at a junction to drive on a motorway in the wrong direction. That's not a sat-nav thing, that's just stupid people. It's 2023 for Christ's sake. Digging just holes is Stone Age. Move with the times or be left behind with the old stuff. We all use smartphones. So what is now? So what's wrong with an old 3210? Yeah. Well, aside from the fact that a 3210 only ever needed to be charged once in its entire life and would then last for another 15 years. Aside from that, everything is progress. Would I give this back? I would give it back so long as I could have the next generation version of it. Other than that, you will have to prize it from my cold, dead hands. I've used sat-navs in trucks for 15 years. They are a brilliant advancement. Yes, they are. Basically, big trout using trout size you'd eat to catch them. Okay. I think there may have been an episode of Gone Fishing with Paul Whitehouse and Bob Mortimer that mentioned ferox trout. Now we come to mention it because I do comps fishing, so I'm a roach and perch and dace and stuff. I don't do trout. I have done once or twice, not really my bag. Don't do trout fishing at all, but I think I'm on the same wavelength now. So much diverged chat on here this morning. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up, can you? OnlyFans and TikTok is where young ones making money. Country is goosed and only going to get worse. Maybe. Not entirely sure I agree with that. If, like me, you spend any time on YouTube studying how to be better at YouTube and how to be better at live streaming and how to be better at all this social media stuff, the social media revolution has thrown up some of the smartest people this world has ever seen. I realise we've had scientists and doctors and all that sort of stuff in the past. And I'm not talking here about somebody like Elon Musk who is riding the wave. But if you're aware of, there is a guy called I can't remember, Jimmy Donaldson, I think his name is. He goes by the name Mr. Beast on YouTube. I've never watched one of his videos, but the guy is he's the biggest YouTuber in the world. Millions and millions of subscribers. Gives away millions of dollars in weird competitions and stuff like that. But in addition to all of that, he does a lot of sort of philanthropic work and what have you. One of the things that I have been watching is he came up with this idea of a Mr. Beast burger. In the past, if you wanted to sell your burgers to the great and the good and the unwashed, you would need to open a brick and mortar shop or a pop-up or something like that. And you would have to have inventory and staff probably and all the kind of things that go with it. So there was a big barrier to entry of getting your tailor-made burger to the masses. Mr. Beast decided that rather than trying to open stores across the world, he would basically license his recipe. So, bear in mind, Mr. Beast is based in the States. There is somewhere I could get a Mr. Beast burger delivered at lunchtime today, because there's a couple of restaurants within a couple of miles of where I live that take his recipe, take his ingredients, make the burger, and they sell it from an existing restaurant. Mr. Beast, as a result of that innovation, is making millions, hundreds of millions. Smart, right? And I as a father of two daughters and as a closet feminist, I have a slight issue with OnlyFans. I genuinely do. Never looked at it, I promise. However, if you are 7 foot tall, male, and athletic, and you make a career in basketball and earn millions of dollars doing so, fine, good luck to you. And you have used your body, you've used the gifts that God bestowed upon you, if you believe in God, you have used those to make money. If an attractive girl wants to have an OnlyFans page, is that not the same thing? Would I want my daughter to do it? No. Should they be allowed to do it? Why not? They're only using their God-given talents. And if they can make a fortune, and ultimately, Andrew Tate law cases or lawsuits aside, if a girl is doing that of her own volition and is making money out of it, who's being exploited here? Is it the girl that has done that out of choice, or is it the guys that are handing over the cash? Thought for the day. Well done, Steve. On your prize today, says Dan Cullen. Peter McKenna says, now that's favouritism, Mark. Where's my cat? Peter, let me raid the cupboard. Send me your address as well. I'll see what I can do. Thank God the draft of mine is too big to spoil your fishing. Talking of tech, I will send you some photos of the console. Got everything from GPS to full autopilot, so will not be bothering your tiddlers. No, please don't bother my tiddlers. I'm going to capture that as the phrase of the day. Please don't bother my tiddlers. Yeah, listen. I've recounted this story before. Where have I put it? I don't know where I've put it. I have recounted this story before, but my father once won a fishing match, not just for him, but for his entire team, by weighing in 2 ounces of fish. I think it's 2 fish of about 1 ounce each. Tiddlers are absolutely fine. They banned guns after the Dunblane massacre. Okay, fair enough. In some countries, they cut digits off for minor theft, a whole arm, or hand or arm if you're really bad. Don't want to be going that far, but take away the risk. Listen, we all operate. No, you guys there, you all operate in a high risk environment. What is the key role that you have when it comes to risk. Your key role is to mitigate that risk, to find another way of doing a job that will minimize, or possibly even better still, eliminate that risk. Is that not the same as knife crime? If you find somebody, even if they're just strolling down the high street, whistling a merry tune, and you stop them and you find they've got a knife on them, is it not better to just get them off the street and bang them up? That's a mitigating of risk, isn't it? Steve Williamson says most people that slag GPS off and do videos of them grading up a road up on a hill that can be put and any height. Everything on the site is designed in a way that everything is at a level for a reason. GPS lets you do the job to the requirements of the site. Height of the road is at a specific height for the houses and drains, etc. GPS lets you work smarter, not harder, save time, money on wear. And there's more than that. And I think this is where it's going to come from. The technological revolution, which is already underway, I believe the next stage will be the adoption of that kind of tech onto smaller machines. So I was saying this to somebody yesterday. If you sell the real top drawer, highfalutin version of the Topcon or the Trimble or the Leica systems, you're probably aiming it at people or at civil engineering projects that are vast. You're aiming it at dozers in the D9, D10, possibly even the D11 category. If I am a Caterpillar salesman, I might be lucky to sell 1 or 2 dozers of that size in a year. At the same time, there will be 10,000 mini excavators sold. So from the manufacturer's point of view, it makes perfect sense for them to strip down that technology to its barest principles and to apply it to compact and mini machines. That makes perfect sense. Why the hell would you not? But my personal belief is that this will not be a push from the manufacturers. This will be a pull from the clients. You will have clients who will have been on a job either as a company or previously at another employer, whatever it might be, who have seen the benefits of GPS, have seen the precision and the accuracy and the data collection capabilities. And they will be looking and expecting contractors and ground workers to deliver that. And when push comes to shove, if you're there or thereabouts, let's say there's £1 million project, £1 million from one contractor, £1 million from another contractor, but this contractor here can show you literally how the job will look before they start. They can log how the job is progressing right the way throughout, and at the end of it they can present you with a file that shows you precisely what was done. They get the job. And that's the way it's going to go. Mark my words. Talking fishing, watch the Ginger Fisherman on YouTube. I haven't come across him. I wish I could remember the guy's name. There's actually a guy based not a million miles from here who does a fishing channel. Oh, him and his son do a fishing channel. Actually, they've got one each. And I watch the old guy from time to time because he fishes a lot of the same waters that I do. Steve Williams should start on OnlyFans for excavators and steel wrist videos. Dan, listen, I wouldn't put it past him. I don't want to see that. I mean, he's a lovely guy, but I don't want to see that. My son is gaming console, PS5, FIFA champion, making hundreds of thousands per match. Good luck to him. Again, it's using the skills that they've been given. He'd probably make a fortune. That's Steve. Steve, it's over to you, my friend. It looks like you. It looks like you need to go and start an OnlyFans. Mark, to see the context of some of the chat on the phone, you should have the Facebook chat open on your phone. I've got the Facebook chat open on my screen. So long as you're part of the show, I am watching this as we go through. The problem is, just to give you an indication, I have got chat coming in from Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter. There's also depending on the time of day and everything else, there's about a 15 to 20 second lag between me sending a picture out and you responding to it, and if some of you type a bit slower. So we often have comments, somebody says, oh, that's a great machine. I don't know what machine you're talking about, because by the time I get to see that message, I've already run 2 or 3 different machines. But I am monitoring the chat, trust me, and which is why I said to somebody yesterday, do I ever get abuse online? I have never, in nearly 500 shows, never had abuse on this site. Had abuse before, not on this show. And if I did, I've got a button that just basically chops them off, cuts them off at the knees. Not a problem at all. Now, this is an issue I see with modern cars, the central locking. Is there a way of getting it in an emergency situation? As of this morning, car was locked. If I broke the window, I would be done for criminal damage. Good point. I used to be an escort when I was in my late teens, early 20s. Did you really? I think we may have to set aside a show for that. Dedicated to that. Mine still has a key in an emergency, which is fine, but the key will be on the inside, wouldn't it? Is there something that says if a person sees fit to do so, or just wait for the police? I don't know the rules on that. I really don't. Nothing at all wrong with porn, OnlyFans, or prostitution. It's just folks marketing their talents, just like a painter selling a painting. That's my take on it. Yeah, it's my take on it. And I love me a weird analogy. Think about young attractive girl showing off her wares on OnlyFans to make a buck, quite possibly to make a lot of bucks. Feed herself, quite potentially feed a family and everything else. Look at that on one hand. And then we have young men predominantly, but men and women, who have a talent for boxing, who fight to make money, to feed themselves, to feed their family. Now, I love boxing, old-time boxing predominantly, but I do love boxing. But hand on heart, I would say it is barbaric, and if it were outlawed, you'd really, really struggle to defend it, even though I love it. And yet boxing is considered a noble art. Battering somebody until they're unconscious is considered a noble art. And then on the other side, young girl showing off her body on OnlyFans is considered demeaning, and she's decried for it. Yeah. Okay. Catch you later, mate. The Commodore is walking along the pontoon, no doubt to welcome me to the moorings and talk a load of BS. Have a good day, one and all. Enjoy yourself, Mick. Thank you very much indeed for being here. How do I see the key if you're in the car? Good point. Hungerford brought out about the banning of semi-automatic rifles, apart from 2.2 rimfire, and multi-shot shotguns that hold more than 3 cartridges. Dunblane brought about the banning of handguns, apart from muzzle-loading pistols and long-barrel pistols that are actually classed as carbine rifles in the eyes of the law. We have a gun expert in our midst, apparently. It's a loophole because they have a barrel over 12 inches and are over 24 inches in total length. This show is nothing but a revelation to me. I'll confuse things, Mark, watching you on here and commenting on Facebook. Yes. That is who is Crazy Edits? I can never remember, but yes, the chat arrived just the same, and there is Gallo Ferruccio. Yay, and yay back to you. Are you Italian? Are you in Italy? Are you watching from Italy? If so, thank you for joining us. But either way, wherever you are and whatever you do, can't remember seeing you on the show, so you get some welcome confetti. And I have now been talking non-stop for an hour and 14 minutes. I really do need to get a proper job, don't I? Crazy Edits is Peter McKenna. See, I told you, I can switch between chats on different platforms without even batting an eyelid. And I guessed right, Gallo Ferruccio is from Italy. Ciao. I've got nothing else. Ciao. Ciao tutti, should I say. I don't know. I'll be in Italy. In this time in 2 weeks, I will be in Verona. If you're in Verona, come look me up. I'll be wearing this hat. Love to meet you. Right, people, that is an hour of 15 minutes that you're never going to get you back in your life. So go have a fantastic day. I'm back tomorrow for more of the same. Hopefully without the gun crime or the knife crime and the sideshow that was. But until then, everybody have a fantastic day. Thank you for being here. Steve, I'm going to go and try and find your address now. Peter McKenna, let me have your address as well. And Kerry Jones as well, let me have your address, and I will see what I can do for you fine people. Until tomorrow, all the best, everybody.